Good morning. This is a follow-up to yesterday's meditation video. I was thinking about a friend of mine on Facebook page. I made friends with her right before I left Atlanta. And I had made a date with her to meet at the museum because I want to say it was Da Vinci that was... anyway, I wanted to go to the museum. And I didn't want to go alone. I was newly single and I was new in Atlanta, and somehow, I don't know, I knew that I had a limited time there. And I was right as it turned out. I stayed in Atlanta for about 5 months before I moved to Ohio. I only had a limited time. I had one day off. So I was working with my sister at the store, and I wanted to go to the museum. So I made a date with her. She said she was going to meet me, and then last minute she cancels. So I decided, whatever, I'm going to go anyway. And as it turned out, she did me a huge favor. Yesterday, when I was talking about meditation, I said you can meditate on anything, and art is one of those things. And the experience that I had there, because she didn't show up, was amazing. It's not a huge museum in Atlanta, I will say that. It feels kind of modern, and it's several levels. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 levels, but I just started at the bottom, and I worked my way up. I want to say Da Vinci was there. There was some of his, if he's the one with the horses, and forgive me if I'm saying the wrong one. But everybody, they had a big to-do surrounding him. And I think it was Da Vinci. And that's what everybody was interested in. But, I'm definitely a maverick. If everybody's going that way, I'm like, yeah, what's over here? So I start in the basement. And I didn't really understand anything about art. I never really had spent much time with it. I had already started, drawing at that point. I had been drawing for a few years, 3 or 4, I would say. I had been doing it as a hobby. So, I was interested in it, but and I had a print, yeah, I did. Because I had the Picasso print, which is hanging in my bathroom now. I had it at the time. So, I appreciated it, but I hadn't really spent much time around it. And so I thought, I really want to understand, why is this piece of art here? What am I supposed to learn here? I always want to know, what is it I'm supposed to be getting here? So I started in the basement, and I just one by one went through all of the art, and I just sat there and I stood there and I looked at each piece until I got it, or until I got enough. Let's put it that way, because no, I'm sure I didn't get it all. And I did that all the way up, and the main event was in the middle somewhere, and that's where everybody was. And the horses were amazing, but it felt more like math to me than it did art, if that makes sense. To my artist friends, I'm sure it would. Oh, I have a cool group of artist friends that, we can be crazy with, because artists are definitely, we see things differently. Let's just put it that way. When you start doing any kind of art whatsoever, you start to view the world differently. Anyway, I appreciated his work, but it felt like a science. It felt like a math or a science to me. And so I did. I took a little bit of time, but there were a lot of people, and because I was trying to concentrate on each piece, I really couldn't do it in that room. So I skipped on past, but I took my time on each level. And as I progressed up through the levels, I kept feeling lighter and lighter and lighter. And I had never experienced that feeling before, where your body, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. It wasn't quite that, But by the time I got on the top level was the modern art. And something about that modern art just like, whoo, sent me into another stratosphere. And I was just blown away by the colors. I love the colors and the ingenuity of, like, you know, they would take small pieces and then create this huge, I don't even know how big it was, huge piece of art from tiny, tiny pieces. I was just mesmerized by all of it. And I spent almost the whole day there. And when I left, I was literally high from looking at art. And I had never experienced that before. Ever, ever, ever. I never experienced that. So the follow-up to yesterday is art is definitely a form of meditation. And the reason that it is, and I know this because I am an artist. And when I create, when anybody creates, when you create, and I talked about this yesterday, you spend, I touched on this yesterday. When you create, you spend a lot of time, even if it's just one little drawing. You know, when I draw, I'll spend at least, you know, depending on how large it is. But if it's a full sheet, by the time I draw it and then color it and then spend time editing it, I spend a lot of time focusing on that one piece of paper. And if I do something where it's a sculpture, no matter what it is. So, you know, no matter what it is, when, if you're creating something, you're spending a lot of time putting intense focus. You know, as an artist, for me, what I do is I do use it as a form of meditation. When I create, I either loosely allow the whatever is flowing to flow. So I do it in a state of allowance, or I do it where I have something in my head. Like yesterday when I was talking about the Fool, the zero. And I don't specifically go and say, okay, I'm going to draw the Fool. Sometimes I do, but very rarely do I do that. But if that's been my main focus the entire day, that's a real likelihood that something about what I've been thinking about is going to show up on a piece of paper. If it's a creative outlet of any kind, it's going to show up. So then once I realize, oh, this is the Fool, then I just allow that information to be even more focused. Okay, then I say, okay, I'm drawing the Fool. You know, she's a different version, but she's the Fool. And then I begin to, almost like a laser beam, okay? My focus, the more you do this, the more powerful you become. That's all I'm going to say. Then I focus in on the art, and I pour all of that emotion of the Fool into that piece of art. And that's what these masters have done. The ones, if their art is hanging in a museum and they have touched people, multitudes of people, they have mastered that. They have mastered how to imbue, I hope that's the right word, to imbue a feeling, a sentiment, a theme, like an entire story in one painting. And that focus comes from passion for the subject matter, for one thing. And so if you know, Picasso was passionate about bulls. So when you look at his bull, you're like, it's just a simple bull. I mean, it's like a line drawing, but it's incredibly powerful because he practiced his craft, and he practiced putting that intense focus in over and over and over again, to where when he wanted it, it was right there. So when you look at some of the great artwork and you're like, wow, that's amazing. If it makes you stop at all, somebody has been meditating on that. It's a form of meditation to create art. And I encourage you, if you have a museum in your area, go check it out and go alone. Don't go with anyone. If I had gone with my friend, I would have had a good time. I can have a good time anywhere, really. I can. It doesn't matter what it is because I'm interested in people. But on that day, I needed to focus on that artwork. I needed that because up until that point, I had been dabbling with art. Okay, it was an outlet because I was stressed at work and I needed something to just not go crazy. You know, I was in the middle of a major life upheaval at that time. And I was hungry for new experiences. That's why I wanted to go. That's why I thought. But that experience changed me, I know, because I was like, whoa, it totally blew my mind. Totally blew my mind. And it's because I chose to, and really since that time, since I moved to Ohio, I've been, I had the opportunity. It's come with it's come at a cost, but prior to moving to Ohio, I had worked my whole adult life. And, you know, trying to be an overachiever, do the right thing. And I was for a long time till it crashed and burned. And so when I moved to Ohio, I guess I needed a timeout because that's what I got. And so for the last 7 years, I've been studying things. I haven't worked until just recently. Not in the usual sense. I've been working. I'm one of those people who really can't sit still. I played Farmville for a couple of years. But then when I finally decided, okay, it's time to do something here, I started on my art. And I've studied. Patterns fascinate me. People fascinate me. What makes people tick fascinates me. And that's a wide study. I love color and patterns and numbers. I like to know why things work. And going to that museum that day was incredibly powerful. So I wanted to share that experience with you just because it is a follow-up to tell you that if you would like to draw or you're not sure, you don't have a hobby, go get a sketch pad or down the street, wherever you are. Because, you know, it's $8 for a pad of paper, and I'm sure you got something to write with. Even if you're bad at first, you're gonna be, probably. Just do it anyway. Because the more you do, that's another way. Number one, let's stay on point. Drawing is a form of meditation. It's a form of getting whatever's in your head that you haven't or won't or can't verbalize in your everyday life. It's the subconscious that comes out on the paper. That's another reason why artwork is so powerful, because it's the truth coming out. It doesn't lie. When you hear someone say a picture is worth 1,000 words, it's the truth. When I look back at my art, I see, especially when I go back maybe, you know, a few months or a year, something else is going on, and it's like, hey, it makes me remember I did that painting back, whatever, and it reminds me of this one. What I see is there's kind of an evolution that happens. Yes, it feels the same, but it's like exponentially more. But I see even back then, it was a complete idea in a simple form. if you look at an artist's work and it touches you, it's the truth. It's coming from inside, and it's a wonderful form of meditation. It is not the end-all be-all. I'm not saying only do that and don't do the other kind, because the other kind helps you if you work in concert with the two. And no, I'm not saying you got to sit and meditate for hours. No, you don't. 10 minutes. At first, if you can last that long, that's going to be pretty good. But by meditating and doing some form of hobby, and if you don't have one and you want to draw, even if it's bad, keep doing it, date it, and do it every day if you can. 10 minutes. Give yourself 10 minutes. If you have an hour break at work and normally you don't really even know what to do with it, bring your sketch pad to work. Draw there. A pencil. Do it with a pencil, because I've gotten to the point, I've done it different ways, where I want it perfect and I'll erase, and other times I'm like, nope, whatever hits the page, that's what it's going to be. So, I go back and forth with that. But a pencil with an eraser, and not just the one on the end. For whatever reason, those erasers are not always that great. I usually buy a little pack. Again, it's back to school time. Let me just get this. The little erasers that look like this. There we go. Those little erasers. You can get a pack of those for like 59 cents, maybe $1 right now. I got a whole drawer up. And the pencils are on sale. But that way you can erase your stuff if you need to. Drawing is meditation. Art is meditation. It's intense focus on one item. And so I just wanted to share that experience with you. If you are interested at all in art, make time and go to the local museum. Look at the art. And because it can be a powerful experience. It changed me. That day changed me. I know it. That may sound corny, but it's the truth. And I wanted to follow up yesterday's video. I was reminded of my museum experience, and I wanted to share it with you. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you've had any experiences like that. Are you an artist? Do you meditate? If you didn't catch my meditation video, I did it. It's called Meditation How to, with a focal point, something to that nature. Check that out. Take care.